All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the One Heart, One Earth Global Healing Summit. We started this journey 2 weeks ago, and I can't believe it, but it is coming to a close. It has been an unbelievable 2 weeks. By the end of today, we will have 40 workshops, journeys, meditations, offered to you free for this Global Healing Summit, which is just incredible. And I know so many of you have had profound experiences. I can't even keep track of all the comments and emails I've received from folks who have had profound awakenings because of this last 2 weeks. So it's really incredible. And I am so honored and happy to welcome our last workshop. For those of you who are tuning in, you can still register at oneheartoneearth.net. We will continue this journey together somehow in some way, so more to come with that, but you can register online. And we do have our closing circle coming up at 3:33 Mountain Time, which is 5:33 Eastern Time. It's 2:33 Pacific Time. And anyways, so I am happy to welcome Anna. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, our final presenter. So amazing. And I'm so honored to have you be a part of this and just to be able to spread your own light. And I'm going to hand it off to you, and for everybody watching, just enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome to Sanity Amidst It All, Restoring the Flow of Life, a Body-Centered Approach. I'm Anna Downing. I'm going to stand up. I'm Anna Downing, certified life coach and psychic. And my work is generally entirely done, one-to-one with clients. I'm stepping outside of my usual mode of being because I'm so passionate about these activities that I'm going to share with you. And also, since I'm a bit in the unknown, I may refer to my handy wizard text here from time to time. During this segment, we'll be exploring some ways of supporting your nervous system. Right now, there's so much information. We're awash in information, no small amount of uncertainty and fear, ours and others. And these activities will support you in feeling good in your body and being available, being resourceful for what wants to happen, what needs to happen in your life. So first, I'll talk a little bit about what we're going to be up to, and then we'll dive in. I'm super grateful for your attendance today. I'm aware that more than ever, there are so many places to place our attention. And where we put our attention is probably more critical now than ever. And this is a brilliant choice on your part, in my opinion, this entire summit. I'm delighted to be positioned at the end of this summit for a couple of reasons. The main one is that we've been taking in so much, an abundance of magnificent material, information, and experiences. And this is a great time to integrate all of that. And these activities that I'm going to introduce and that we're going to play with here today have integrating aspects. That is to say, they support your integration. Everything is easy. I am invoking the friendly clause that everything is done in a friendly way. I'm also delighted to be here at this timing because if you're live, it's right after lunchtime for many people. And I can get tired. And if I were leading a meditation, it might be a very different experience. So one cool thing about these activities that I'm going to introduce is that if you have an experience where you feel antsy or tired as you sit down to meditate, if you meditate, these activities will support you in having your body happy to go along for the ride, get your body in a state where it's ready to sit and meditate. That's another happy byproduct of these activities. Checking in with my wizard text. I wanted to do this because I so want to make sure I don't miss any salient information that I've prepared and may have forgotten in the moment. Now, I did just hear a cat. There's a cat here who is rather vocal and may speak up during the course of our adventure. And now I wonder if you'd be willing to check in with yourself and see if you might be willing to have an experience, possibly have an experience outside of what you think about what we're doing. That is to say, to be available for whatever wants to happen as a result of having the experience. I hope you're dressed casually because we're going to move around a bit. It'd be great to have some water handy. And if it's easy, a pencil or pen and something to write with, like a note, nothing big. And if you don't have any of that, no worries. It's all going to work just fine without that. So I allow you to, I invite you to listen to your body, to tune in to you, to tune into your own pacing and your own willingness. In all of these activities, there's no forcing, there's no pushing. We're not trying to make anything happen. All right, let's start with an introductory, getting here even more activity. This is about making gentle contact with you. And I'm going to change the camera a little bit. And it just starts with touching yourself. So bring some contact to your arm. And the quality of your contact is firm, but not pushy. Again, we're not trying to make anything happen. And as I do this, I say to myself out loud, here I am. That's optional. I'm going to touch my belly and my back, touching my thighs. It's a gentle squeeze. And one of the things that you're doing in this activity, that I'm doing in this activity, is noticing what I'm feeling with my hands, but I'm also perceiving the sensations from inside my body of the contact that my hand creates. I'm going to go do my calves, giving a gentle squeeze, my ankles, my thighs. Here I am. Here I am. Notice the quality of the contact of your hand. Hands. The next activity is bouncing on your heels. We often, when we bounce, we go up on our toes some and we stay up on our toes. And I want the bounce to be down in your heels. Now I notice my shoes pitch me forward a little bit. So I'm going to take them off and do this barefoot, and I invite you to do the same. So I don't know if you can see the quality of my bounce without my shoes on is very different. So I'm feeling the weight in my heels. One beautiful thing about this activity is that it stimulates the strengthening of your bones. We all, I imagine, want strong bones. I do. So the invitation, and my voice is a little different as I'm doing this live, is to let that ripple, that jiggle, that bounce move all the way up your body. Shoulders, even in your jaw. Now, I notice that my calves are feeling just slightly woken up and a wee bit fatigued. So I'm going to shake my leg, kind of shake it off. You can do that too. Lift one leg at a time, give it a shake, and bounce a few more times. You can also make contact with a wall with a finger if you need a little bit of extra support. Thank you for playing with me. And now on to my very favorite activity in the whole world of this nature, activity of this nature. It's called creative joint play, and I'm going to get creative with the use of the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. The benefits of this activity blow my mind, and I'll talk some about them, but mostly at the end, because I'd like to leave space for having an experience where there's less going on up here about what we're doing and that we enjoy the how we're doing. So before we start this one, I'd like you to take a scan of your body. That is, just check in with yourself and ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of aliveness? Or how's your energy? You know, and then write down that number on that piece of paper. Again, if you don't have paper, no big deal. Now I'm quiet there as you were checking in, and I will be quiet off and on during the course of this, because for me, it's much more difficult for me to check in with myself when I'm also listening to someone talk. So there will be these silences for that purpose. All right. To start creative joint play, let's begin in our hands. So move your fingers around. You're playing with your joints, moving your fingers in ways that may be different or unusual. They don't have to be different or unusual, but you're moving. See, I've already joined my wrists into the game. But you're moving joints in different ways. Get your elbows into the game. When you notice you're going into maybe a repetitive kind of thing, shift it up into something different. Add in your shoulders. Notice that as I add in my shoulders, my neck automatically says, oh, let's get in on the party. Your face, add in your face. That can look kind of crazy, but no one's watching. Well, here anyway, except you. Add in your hips. Jaws are joints that often could use some extra love and motility, mobility. So add in your hips. And add in your knees while keeping all the rest of it going. Knees, ankles, toes even. Few more moments here. All right, bring that in for a landing. And now, if you would, check in with yourself again. Do that body scan, and on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your sense of aliveness. So for me, one thing that I notice is that my lower half, that is to say, from my waist down, feels much more lively, much more tingly, much more integrated. Now, one thing that can happen when doing an activity like this, or meditating, or pretty much anything that could create a shift in your consciousness or your nervous system, a little voice or an impulse may arise that, and if I translated my own, it would be like, okay, that's enough. I'll go check the stove or something like that. And we have typically a set point of aliveness that we are pretty comfortable with. Well, we're used to. Even if it's uncomfortable, we're kind of used to that level. And as we bump up against that and begin to expand beyond it, some aspect of our consciousness will say, oh, that's enough. So if that happens, I invite you to welcome that voice, first of all. So oh, hello. Hello, yes. Mm-hmm. And to gently invite yourself. So again, no forcing. Gently invite yourself to continue with your movement for another few moments. Now, it takes 2 minutes. I'm going to review this a little bit later, but now seems the perfect segue. It takes 2 minutes to fully shift. Well, actually, it may take longer. It takes at least 2 minutes to shift your nervous system. So if you have a tendency to, oops, that's enough, set your phone to 2 minutes so that you do at least 2 minutes when you utilize this activity. Another thing you can explore when doing this activity is going a bit faster and a bit slower. In fact, go ahead and bring a little bit of the movement again. Just gentle, easy movement, and do it a little bit faster. Don't forget your knees and ankles and hips, jaw. Remember when you do something repetitive to shift it up. And now slow it way down. You know, keep going. Most of us were given a whole bunch of messages in our youth about hurry up or slow down. Our pacing, our timing was messed with. And now move into a pace that feels just right for you, that feels delicious for your pacing, just right for you. When you're going faster in this activity or in life, it's all the same, then is your pace. You may notice a particular rattle to your nervous system. And when you're going slower than you really want to go, you may notice a different quality of not quite right in your nervous system. All right, bring that in for a landing. So I want to talk a little bit about what this activity does so that your left brain has a little bit of something to chew on. Most of us like to have information about things, even if we are willing to have an experience. So as kids, we have a wide range of movements. We do many, many more kinds of movements than we do generally as we age. It gets narrower and narrower and narrower, our range of movement. This activity expands that, which also means that it interrupts patterns, repetitive patterns in the way that we think, in the way that we live life. Even, in fact, mostly unconscious patterns. The joint play creates space in every joint that we are moving. And space translates is potential, possibility, an opening, creativity. It brings our nervous system back into a happy place. Happy is probably not the best word, copacetic, to a flow, an availability. So again, I planned something, well, perfect segue, here we go. So as you probably know, fear has several forms. It can take fight, flight, faint, freeze, and some scientists think there are more. And fear, so sound has we measure sound in decibel levels. 1 decibel might be quite faint and 10 might be quite loud, whatever that is. Often we're not aware that we're feeling fear until it reaches a certain decibel level, like say 6. But there's a lot of rising fear under that before we become aware, uh-oh, I'm scared. And I promise I'm telling you this for an excellent reason. Let me get it back. Fear messes with our filters. So how we see the world, how we see our partner, how we see the people around us can get messed with by our nervous system operating in fear, our physiology being in a place of fear. So if we're not aware of it until it reaches a level 5, we have all this time where we think we're just fine, we think we're normal, we think we're all good, and what's happening that's strange is out there, when it's actually our nervous system that's changing. If you're interested, polyvagal theory names this very succinctly by saying, it's sort of a shorthand, by saying story follows state, meaning the state that your perceptions, your filters, how you perceive things will be born out of the state of your nervous system. So this creative joint play that we did supports your nervous system in getting back in flow and your perceptions to be more accurate and available, your creativity and problem solving, all of that to come back online. And it takes at least 2 minutes for that to happen. Checking in with my wizard notes. Another awesome activity. Let's get down on the floor. Now, for part of this, you won't be able to see all of me, so I'm going to cue it like a yoga instructor might. This is much easier than yoga, but you won't need to see everything. I'll do my best to move the camera so that you can see. After you get the gist of it, you won't want to be looking at the camera because you will be looking instead at the ceiling as you lay on the floor. This is so pleasurable. All right, on your back, on the floor, putting your feet on the floor, flat, knees bent, You don't want your feet up close to your butt or way far out. So put them kind of in between. And the rest of you is flat on the floor. See if you can, yep, and your head toward the ceiling. For just a moment, feel the support that the floor is offering you. And then begin a gentle movement generated by your feet and your legs that rocks your entire body. It's a gentle movement. Takes very little effort. Let's see if I can adjust the camera. Very little effort from your feet and your legs to make this movement. And all of you will kind of flow and jiggle. I'm going to put this up so you can see my head. Your head won't be doing this. This is what your head's going to do. This is called the cosmic jiggle. So you're not trying to press the small of your back into the floor. You're letting your whole system be moved by the action of your feet and legs. This supports the flow of your lymph, added bonus feature, which supports your immune system, added bonus feature. And it's pleasurable, worth doing for that reason alone. So in the beginning, you may notice that your head may not move as much because your whole system is getting the message, oh, I can just let go and follow the motion. So don't try to make it happen with an effort in your neck. It's a matter of loosening and going with the motion. And over practice, if you do feel any stiffness in your neck, you know, if it's kind of not moving with the rest of you, as opposed to this, it will over time. Keep at it. So we're going to do this for just a little bit, not a long time, to get the full effect right now. You can put your arms on the floor, put your hands on the floor, put your hands on your rib cage. You see what happens if I put them over my head. Oh, that's interesting too. I think down is probably better. All right, bring that in for a landing. Roll over to your side, either side, and come up gently. I'm going to consult my wizard text because I've switched it all up and changed the order of things as impulse called. And I don't want to miss anything. It's all so good. All right. Definitely going to use my text on this last one because in the moments before this segment, I got a little download to shift up my last activity in this presentation. And so I'm going to wing it, going with the flow, extemporaneous for the most part, much more so than I would have thought. Anyway, I'm going to stand for this activity. Ooh, good time for a little water. This activity is facing. There is so much going on right now, it can be hard to even know what to face into. So we're going to start at home, small, simple to play with in this activity. Well, we all know how much unknown we're swimming in right now. And what it needs to be faced, what arises to be faced, will be clearer over time as we navigate these waters. So there's a lot to face. There's probably a whole lot more to come to face into. And this activity supports our capacity to choose to face by choice, to choose to face, to do it gently, and to do it in our own timing. So there are times that things happen where out of the blue, there's something happens that we need to face. And so choosing to face in our own timing and in our own way supports the ride being friendly. It also supports our participating in what's unfolding from our wholeness. Bonus. All right, to start, choose something that you have not yet fully faced. And don't pick world peace, global pandemic, climate change. Pick something easy in your life right now. I'm going to choose, I have not fully faced into that I will probably never reach the level of preparedness for this event that I would really, really like. So go ahead and pick something easy in your life. Movement can help this. One great way to freeze up your thinker is to hold your breath and hold still. We become much less resourceful. Our body contains vast wisdom available when we're moving and breathing. All right. Now, scan the room 360 degrees and look for a place, a direction in the room that speaks to you as the direction that would represent fully facing. So go ahead and make a 360 view of the room that you're in. See if something calls to you as a direction for fully facing. For me, it's this direction. So go ahead and face that direction. Now, let's face the opposite direction. Face the opposite direction of fully facing. So this would be not facing. And now take a few rounds of going between not facing and facing physically, not facing and facing. And take those rounds doing it, physically doing it in ways that are familiar to you. So for example, one familiar way for me might be sort of playing peekaboo. Oh, yep. Or a drive-by. Or kind of with a sense of fight. You know, kind of a, oh yeah, mm-hmm. So go ahead and go between not facing and facing in familiar ways. Mm, uh, Bring that in for a landing. Hope you're doing it. The benefit derives from doing it. I sometimes catch myself trying to think through it instead. Like I'll just think it rather than do it. Tricky. Okay, next step. Pick one hand, one side of your body, or I want to face this. I want to face into this. And by default, the other side will be I don't want to face. And in this portion of the activity, we're going to go back and forth, claiming, owning, and welcoming each stance. So it would look like this. I'm holding, let's see, I do want to face, that I'll not likely be as prepared as I'd like. I'll just call it my level of preparedness. I do want to face my level of preparedness. I don't want to face my level of preparedness. Now you do this, take several rounds. I'm going to do it also, but I'm going to say it quietly so that you can hear yourself say yours. Several rounds, like 6 or 7. Actually, do it enough times, going back and forth, saying what you do want to face and what you don't want to face. I notice that not only am I putting my hand out, but I'm also shifting my body weight. Do that until you notice something shift in your body. You may notice a breath, a different quality of your breath, something relax. Just do that for a bit until you notice something. Go ahead. Now, in your own practice of this activity, in your own timing, when you're not participating in the summit, you would, as I say, do this until you feel some sort of shift. That may be pretty quick. It also may take a while. I don't mean like a half an hour, but several rounds. The shift that I noticed was a wave of feeling. So, and it took about 3, well, it's more like 4 rounds. And I felt a wave of sadness. Check in with yourself. What, if anything, did you notice in the process of doing the waves yourself, the versions? One thing that this activity does is bridge the split so that we can move forward with whatever most needs or wants to happen with our wholeness. The next step is to appreciate. So my invitation to you is to appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself for showing up, for participating in the activity, for facing, for not facing, for owning, facing, and not facing. And appreciate yourself for caring for your nervous system, a brilliant part of your wholeness. And appreciating to me means considering, giving generous attention to, and appreciating like one might a fine work of art in a museum. So I happen to have a work of art. It's not in a museum and it may not be fine, but here's one. So imagine yourself looking at a painting you like the looks of and appreciating how the artist chose different colors, not how, but the colors that were chosen, particular brush strokes, depth, light, the subject, even the frame. So bringing appreciating to yourself in the way that you might appreciate a painting or a flower. It's totally different from evaluating. In fact, this kind of appreciation increases the value. Dear friends, thank you so much for participating in that activity. I'm going to go back to, actually, I'm going to put my shoes back on. This is kind of like, who's the Mr. Rogers? I'm putting my shoes back on as we come in for a landing. So many of these, all of these activities are based on the work of doctors Kathleen and Gay Hendricks. And there's a lot of resources about their material at www.hendricks.com. I'm particularly recommending the activities and resources based on restoring resourcefulness. So useful in these times. I, your host, am Anna Downing. I'm a certified life coach and psychic. I'm available during these hopefully not for long and currently challenging times at a deeply discounted rate in order to be supportive to those, to be accessible to those who want support right now. My number is 303-912-7138. I thank you for joining me and the summit. I'm looking very much forward to the closing circle and celebration of this magnificent, magnificent event. Thank you so much.